So in this video, we'll cover how to do localization testing using Reflect, and we're going to be testing against Airbnb. So here I have Airbnb.com, and with Airbnb, they have a variety of different websites for different locales, including Mexico. So we're going to be creating one test that can test across both Airbnb.com and Airbnb Mexico. So I'll call this Airbnb test. We'll start out with the .com with the US English locale. And we're going to record a very simple test here. So the first things we're going to do is just grab a few text elements from this page. So the top three sections. I'll just move this over here. So we'll say, let's do a text validation for stays. Let's do a text validation for experiences. Let's do a text validation for online experiences, and then we'll search for something in here. So we'll search for Philadelphia, and then we'll click the search button. All right, so let's say that that is my test. So we'll save that here, and we'll click save and run. All right, now this test is running. We could watch it live if we want to, or we could just go and look at the test that we had created here, basically the definition of the test. And so if we want to localize this, we need to first allow the text that we're validating to be overridable so that we can define basically the Spanish language translations. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight this here, this first line of text. We're going to choose match against a parameter, and we're going to give it a parameter name. So we're going to call this stays. We're going to do the same thing for experiences. We'll give it a parameter name called experiences. And you could call this something like, text one or header one, whatever, if you have names that are already lining up to a, list of translations or what's in your code base, you could do it that way. And then we're going to call this online experiences. Now, this step here, where we search for something, we might want to override this and say this search term should be different for the Mexican locale. So we'll call this search term. And then finally here, we clicked on the search button, and by default, we grabbed the text of the search button. So this is an actual action that will validate the text by default. We also need to override this. We'll call this search. So I'll go ahead and save that. Let me move this over a little bit. I'll click save. And now when we say that we have these 5 values are all overridable. So these are parameters that can be overwritten. So if I run this test here, I could override this if I wanted to. Now, in localized testing, we probably would want to run these as part of a test suite. So basically, if we had 10 different locales that we want to test all sorts of different scenarios and test the translations or the different behaviors across them, we'd want to set up what's called a test suite. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll call this localization tests. And we're going to add the test that we just created. So let's go ahead and add that Airbnb test. We'll click add tests. And you can see here that there is 5 values that can be overridable here. So we have 5 of them. Now, there's a 6th value that we need to handle. So let's go ahead and save this, but let's go back. And the 6th value is going to be, how do we actually get it to test the different locale? So with Airbnb, it's 2 different URLs, Airbnb Mexico and Airbnb.com. So we can just override the host name here. We can highlight this and give it a different host name. We'll call this host name. Another common one would be maybe there's a language that you can pass as a header to say what locale you are, and that would give a different translation. So that would work a very similar way. Okay, so let's save this, and let's go back to the suite. And localization tests, we'll go here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add another option here. So we're gonna run this. This is going to run with the default values here, and then we're going to have a different option where we're going to say Airbnb Mexico, and then let's enter in the different translations. So stays would be this value right here. So I'm going to copy this, and we'll put that here. Experiences would be this, so we're gonna copy that. Put that here. Online experiences would be this, so copy that, put that here. Search term, we have to enter in something, and then it's this, so just type that in. Sorry, we'll maybe put Mexico City here for the search term, and then the translation for the word search here. Okay, so now we have the translations, and this might come from your translation repository, like you might have a spreadsheet or something. You can actually upload spreadsheets directly here if you wanted to, but I'm just entering it in manually. We'll go ahead and click save. And now I'll also get this to run in parallel. And now when we click run, we're going to see two instances of that test running. One for Airbnb.com and then one for Airbnb Mexico. And so each of them are running the same exact set of test steps, but they're running in a different property and validating different values based on the things that we had overwritten. So you can see that these are all running, both running in parallel. So we'll wait for this to complete here. Okay, so both have passed. You can see that. And if we open up both of these here, the English language one looks exactly like how we recorded it. It has the English language translations. It's validating against the English language values, and it's entering in our default search term, which was Philadelphia. If we look at the Airbnb Mexico, we can see it's on Airbnb Mexico. It has the Spanish language translations. It's validating those translations. We can go in and see what it's validating. And then in terms of the search term, it's going to enter in the overwritten search term, which is Mexico City, I believe, is what I entered. Yep, and then validates the search bar. So that is how you would set up localization. Obviously, this is a simple example, but the same elements that you would use for the variety of scenarios you're testing and the variety of different localized text you're testing would be the same. Thanks for watching.